Today, Gardner Denver are here to actually do a case study, and we want to make it real. One of the things that's very focused in this show has always been about large companies doing large things and large Industry 4 cycles. But actually, one of the things for us today is the focus on how this really works for a small, medium enterprise. And I don't know if you know Gardner Denver, but we're just over there, maybe 50 meters to the right of me, and we manufacture compressors. We have 3 divisions: industrials, medical and energy. But actually, our main route to market is through SMEs. If we didn't have SMEs, most of our business wouldn't exist. So it's really important that whatever we do in a connected industrial Internet of Things, 4th Industrial Revolution strategy, that people like Martin and ACB Air Compressors and Blowers are part of that journey. And educationally for us it's making it work for them, because everything has to have a commercial context. Nice to haves are nice. They may not pay the bank, but for us it's about what really makes things happen and makes people make money. So Martin, first you want to take a seat, and we're going to do a bit of a parky type affair. I'm going to sit down and have a discussion with Martin as a conversation, but just to reiterate, we make compressors. We make individual compressors, we do systems. So when we do solution builds and services for customers, a compressor is one part of an installation. It's the heartbeat of a compressed air installation. You get all the elements around it, you get downstreams, you get systems. And if you're knowledgeable about compressed air, when you make and compress air, you have 2 outfalls from it, which are, who's going to raise their hands here? Come on, Gardner Denver in the room. What do you get?
I don't hear the question.
Sorry, what was that?
What was the question?
What do you get if you compress air? What's the outfall from it? You get moisture,
Heat.
And heat, so you have to take them away. But then of course for our customers, you go from a compressor to a complete compressed air installation. We talk about the whole management of compressors and the whole management of compressed air installations. So whatever we do in a digital strategy, whatever we do around data, whatever we do about cyber physical, about connecting things to the internet, we've got to make sure that that information is understood. We've got to make sure that that information has a nice to have value, but has a tangible value, especially for people like Martin. Okay? So whatever we do, we've got to make sure this happens. So you think when we connect a compressor, what do we really need to know and need to understand? And I'm all for everybody talking about big data. But one of the biggest misnomers on big data is 99.95% of the time, if it's good, what value does it have? For people in our industry and for our customers, when you manage systems and you manage tools and you manage services, you manage a factory, do you really want to know if things are good? When we manage our lives, how do we manage things? We manage things when they're bad. We manage by exception. We don't manage by the rule. So for us in Gardner Denver, part of our Industry 4 focus strategy is about using information which is simple to understand, which has a tangible value. And what we found in our studies, that most of the time it's the little bit of information which has the most value to our partners and our distributors such as ACB. And that's what I want to talk about in this example today, because there's 2 bits, a little bit of information which a compressor produces, which has the most value for this man here. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So, before I go on to too much detail, I'm going to sit down with Martin, get the right name. And Martin, just before we go into detail, let's just work out how is, with ACB, tell me about ACB. What size of company are you? How many people do you employ?
We've got 30 odd employees.
Yeah.
We're an engineering focused Gardner Denver distributor.
Okay.
We've got typically 15 engineers that's out on the road.
Yeah.
The majority of the time servicing and repairing compressors. But we're an engineering company.
You're an engineering company. And how many of those compressors do you service?
Out in the field, we've probably got in the region of 600 compressors out there that need various levels of service now.
And 600 compressors, how many engineers do you have?
15 engineers.
15 engineers.
Yes.
And before iConn was really introduced to your organisation, to your brand, how did you go about managing? When you take about selling a system, your job is to sell compressors.
Right.
How did you manage to take that product forward? And how do you manage those? What's the lifetime of a compressor, for example?
If it's looked after properly, between 10 to 15 years. I would say more if anything needs changing or not.
Okay.
But to answer your question, we're very reactive. Okay, so we're always waiting for the phone to ring. Yes, we've got a back office stuff. We've got a service database that's as good as the information that's inputted into it. But we're always being very reactive. So we're waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for the engineer to say that the hours are due, or the customer to ring up because the compressor may have developed a fault.
So what you're going to argue there is it was a very low touch engagement from when the product was sold to when the product was managed and maintained over 10 to 15 years.
Yes, very much so. From the initial sale, you go through the normal sales process and guiding the customer through the process of selecting the right compressor for his needs. So it's very, very hands-on at that stage, and then you hand it over to the engineering team, and that's sort of my job done then. And so it's the engineers then.
But when you came to service a compressor, how did you know that compressor was due a service? Did you actually send engineers to site automatically, or how did you pick up?
A bit of all sorts really. Again, we've got back office stuff, we've got a database, but like I've mentioned, it's as good as the information that it's got. It's being fed with, but yes, at times we've sent engineers out to sites to then check service hours.
Yeah.
So literally, can you call in somewhere, check the hours, see if it's due a service, and let us know, and then we'll find it in.
So service hours is one of the critical aspects of your world.
Very much so. We don't want to miss a service.
You don't want to miss a service because that has got a financial cost to it.
Yes.
And what about? I'm trying to think of a situation when you've got a customer. You probably work in 24/7 in operation as well, don't you? So you have people on some call out. When customers have problems, how do you find out they've got problems today?
Telephones. They've rang me before. We had telephone calls out of hours. Compressors developed a fault. We need to get people mobilised.
Okay.
So again, very reactive.
So it's always very reactive.
Very.
So let's spin that corner now and talk about, because you've got 600 compressors. I know you're on the start of the journey with us.
Yes.
And what we're doing with iConn is trying to keep that simplicity of when something's due a service and when something has a problem. Because for us, a connectivity strategy is a small step thing.
Yes.
So recently you've gone through a really interesting experience. I mean, you're only up to about your 40th deployment with us.
Yes.
But what happened? And can you share that story with the people in the room? What really happened?
Yes, it was quite an interest. I set the scene. We've got a team meeting in the office. We've got the engineers in there. And part of the team meeting, we will then have an overview on iConn. We've got a particular engineer that's been with it from the start, and he was giving us an overview on how clients' equipment integrates with the dashboard that we've got, that we operate in the office. So we're all sat there, ready to sort of learn a little bit more about the iConn. He logged on to the dashboard, and believe it or not, there was one of our clients had got an amber warning on one of his compressors. Okay, so obviously straight away, what's wrong with it? We drilled down into it and realised it was a temperature-related fault. Okay, so we then changed our day around slightly so we could mobilise one of the engineers that was in the room so we could get over to investigate what this fault was. So that's what we did. The guy jumped in his van. We then let our client know that he's got a fault on one of his compressors. Not to worry, the engineer's on his way, but they're in sort of 40 minutes. The reply back from our client was, didn't even realise I got a fault on my compressor. But the guy was probably, already 10 minutes into his journey.
Okay. So tell me about that eureka moment then. But I think that the change of your business then, what you said there, you've gone from a very reactive model to now a proactive business. And organisationally, what's that meant for you? So I would assume that now you've become very operationally cost focused.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Going back to the scenario earlier. we knew that the engineer was going to a potential temperature-related fault in an oil-flooded machine. So we knew that it was, it was going to be one of a few things. So just driving to the job, the engineer was focused. He knows which machine he's working on and probably what the fault's likely to be. So yeah, very, very proactive.
So from that, your operation efficiency for yourselves has gone up.
Yes.
Your first time fix rate has gone up just by knowing you've got a fault and a particular type of fault on the machine. And tell me about that customer experience. How's that changed for you?
Oh, massively. Yeah, the feedback we've got from the client was all only a positive. Okay. He wanted to join the iConn from the outset, but obviously is now reaping the benefits from it. Very, very, very impressed.
So happy customer, small steps, improving your own spend and your OPEX, but keeping the customer happy. And for John and Denver, that's our big challenge around the fourth industrial service. If we can do basic things, start simple, that have high value for our customers, especially people such as ACB, then that helps us move. And what that really means, and I'm just going to close off here from a presentation perspective, it means we transition. And for us in the small medium enterprise marketplace, what's really important is that transition is a step change from a very reactive to a proactive transition. But because we're helping our partners save money on their own spend, they'll listen. Because we're given a tool which is helping the customers, they'll listen. And we get that transition. And I'm just going to leave it with a quote here. Everybody in the fourth industrial revolution thinks about massive systems and massive change. But start with yourself. Start internally. Things will move on. And I just want to thank you for your time, Martin. Thank you very much for that. And for Ghana Denver, if you're interested in learning more about iConn and our strategy around the fourth industrial revolution and our own connected products, feel free to stop by and have a conversation. Happy to carry on from here. Thank you. Thanks.